Thank God for everybody tonight. Listen, God is awesome. I hope you're enjoying this Christmas season. I hope you are, um, not letting things stress you out, pull you aside, and just, get you all turned the wrong way. This is about Jesus. That's the reason why we celebrate Christmas. It's about Jesus Christ. It's not about all the other things, the little jolly Saint Nick and all that. That's real cute, but it's really about Jesus. We're going to drop a few nuggets tonight just for our Bible study tonight. We're having it online, give you folks a chance to spend time with your family. Some family are coming in, some of you are a little leery, you don't know what the weather's going to do and all that, so you're getting in, and we'll take advantage of the virtual audience tonight. Hope you're logging on. God bless all of the Basic family and all of those who are keying in tonight. I want to talk briefly tonight. One of the things that has plagued us, and I want to talk about that before we go into the next year, to the next seasons of our lives, is we got to deal with this thing called low self-esteem. When you look through the Bible, you find many times of people being rejected, and people, they even rejected Jesus Christ. And some people have a fear of rejection. And this fear of rejection is the fear of what people are saying, or fear of being pushed away, or fear of not fitting in. I heard one preacher say that we're all misfits. When we're called to the kingdom, we're a misfit. And I'll tell you what, I don't mind being a misfit because I don't have to fit in with everybody else. I don't have to have what everybody else need to have. All I need is Christ and Him crucified. And everything else that will fall along those lines will fall in place. So, but I want us to take a visit to a story in the Bible about this king by the name of Saul. First Samuel, the 15th chapter, Saul has an encounter with the Amalekites. And his prophet, his spiritual father, comes and talks to him. Samuel comes and talks to Saul and asks him a question. Saul, he begins to tell him about the spirit of rebellion, how rebellion is witchcraft, and he told him what the Lord said concerning what he had done with the Amalekites. Saul, on the other hand, said, well, I've done everything the Lord wanted me to do, but then I feared what the people would think. And so I let them keep the king and a few other things we brought from the land of the Amalekites. And so Samuel ultimately told him, because of what you've done, God has rejected you. Saul immediately, of course, he was sorry. He pulled on Samuel's skirt, rent the skirt, and he tried to do whatever he could to redeem himself. But it was a prime example showing that here's somebody who is king. They're a king. And God had made them ruler over Israel. Israel had made Saul the first king over Israel, according to this reading. And he fell to the weakness of the people because there was some type of inferiority inside of him. This is probably the reason why he had a jealousy even toward David. And often the insecure spirit of another leader taking over versus a leader that's in place is referred to as a Saul spirit. Because a Saul spirit is an insecure spirit. It's when you're not secure. But before we even get to the level of kingship or being a queen, there's so many people who are dealing with low self-esteem. Even in this Christmas season, when people buy us gifts, we feel bad. I should get you something. Every time somebody get you something, you feel like you should get them something because you feel like you owe something because something was given to you. That's that pulling on you. I understand how we were trained, but a gift is a gift. A gift doesn't have to have a return on it. or reason behind it. It could just be a gift. So oftentimes, people struggle with what I call low self-esteem. And we constantly trying to find affirmation, constantly trying to the minute we feel better about ourselves, we go to contacting old people that we've never contacted before. We go to reaching out to people, just trying to see, are we accepted? We're always saying that we feel like we're not a part of, or we feel like we are below everybody else, or we feel like everybody is looking down on us, or they're looking at what we have on, or where we live, or they're looking at our bank account, looking at the car we drive, where our hair is fixed, where our hair is cut, what we're wearing, what name brand shoes we're wearing. Even I noticed that even with younger children, they're always looking at the shoes and see, what kind of shoes are those? Who are they made by? Everybody just all into somebody else's name. We don't feel good unless we're wearing somebody's name who we consider a top tier person. When you are a top tier person, the fact that you're human like everybody else, that you are top tier, and you don't need somebody else's as affirmation or their backing to push your actions. And so this is Samuel's problem with Saul. You have sit here and listened to the people that you're over, and you made moves that were against God's rule based on what somebody said to you, based on the people that you're in front of. And so many times we are products of someone else's opinion, when you need to be a product of your own opinion. If you really look at it, if you pay attention to Jesus didn't have a self-esteem problem. Yes, he was humble, as we say, but he didn't have a self-esteem problem. He said, I am the bread of life. I'm the living water. He told that woman, listen, I'll give you water. At the well, he told the one who was at Jacob's well, he said, I'll give you water, that you never have to look for water again. Jesus talked much stuff. When they were saying when he healed somebody, he said, oh yeah, you don't think I got power to forgive them? No, I'm going to heal them. I'm going to forgive them. So it was being sure in who he was and what his assignment is. And we need to come to grips with what our assignment is. Saul's assignment was to kill everything in sight, kill all the sheep, anything that looked like a sheep, kill all the Amalekites, don't bring nothing back. But instead, he resorted to the opinion of somebody else. You cannot result in the opinion of someone else. You can't live in the results of someone else's opinion. Stop, take a grip as to who you are. Stop waiting on somebody else to tell you that you're beautiful. Tell yourself that you're beautiful. Stop waiting on someone else to affirm you and tell you that you got it going on, that you're smart, that you're needed, that they love you. You're waiting on somebody else to tell you this because you're constantly feeling depressed about yourself. You look at yourself, I don't like the way I look. Well, that's because you're comparing yourself. See, Saul was comparing what he was told by God to what the people were saying. Rather than just listening to what God was saying, he was comparing it, and then he fell weak to what would make them happy at the same time make God happy. So instead of pleasing God, he was trying to appease God. And there's a difference. Because to appease him is just to do something just you think that he will like and he will let you go by with. And to please him is to do his total will. And so it pleases God when we walk in high self-esteem, because you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You don't have to chase people to try to identify who you are and who they are to you and what you are and who you came from and all that kind of stuff. I talked to a principal who was subbing for our school, and they make a pretty handsome salary in subbing, anywhere from, I think this guy was making anywhere from $500 to $600 a day. Just subbing. That's not bad for education. Anyway, he never knew who his father was. He's coach. He knows LeBron James personally. There's a lot of athletes in Ohio, him personally, where he's coached with Ohio State. Then he became a principal, and there were some things as he digressed and got older. And he said, I never knew my father. But that didn't stop him from being the perfect father. His daughter was in town and she needed something simple to be sent to the post office. This man left work to go take her his daughter because he's a great father. He's a great father and never knew his father. Never knew him. Never, he said he never saw him a day in his life. So stop all these excuses about your relationship with your father, relationship with your mother, and why you can't do this. And this is why I react this way because I was a foster child, or I don't know who my parents are. My father never liked me. My mom and I don't have a perfect relationship. This is the wrong time for that. To result back to that, we're too old in the game to be stepping back. You need to step forward. Step forward to the beautiful person you are, the person that God has created you to be. Here's one of the reasons why. This is a little off the rock, and this is going to drive it home a little bit. But when you die, God's not going to ask you about your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your friends, your enemies. None of that ain't really important, really, about that. He's going to ask you about your relationship with him, what you've done in regards to him. Your soul is required of thee. Your relationship with God is between you and God. And you cannot take all these excuses, to where God is trying to take you. You got to leave these excuses alone. When is it, time to start building yourself and building your self-esteem? It's time now. You have to let this mind be in you that's in Christ Jesus. One of the things that you have to understand is this, and I'll leave this with you, that we are, we have this thing what we call a soul. And in the soul lies the will, the emotions, and the intellect. And so that's where your feelings come from, within your soul. And it's based on information that you're given. Most people think that their mind is controlling them, but actually you control your mind. You decide what you want to be fed to your mind. That's why the scripture says, let this mind be in you that's in Christ Jesus. So you have to decide to let things either take captive, let them take captive, let them rule, or you take the principles of God and put them into place of that. In other words, there are thoughts that will come to your head based on circumstances that happen, based on information that's been given. It's up to you to take the right information and replace the right information. Get rid of the wrong information and replace it with right information. And that's what we have to do as a people. You have to keep your mind centered to where you control your thought flow. That's why we are to bring every thought that's against the will of God into captivity. So Saul had some issues here. He was dragging a fence. He was, a warrior, tall above, shoulders above men, chosen, good looking, and all of that. But his mind wasn't good because he still had this thing that he had to please the people. When the ultimate person you should be pleasing is God. And this is how you know that your self-esteem is going up, when you saying that I won't please God. Now, you don't use that to be dirty, evil, nobody else, but you don't let people push you to do stuff outside of you pleasing God. And God commands you to love yourself. You know that? To love yourself. He says, love yourself. He says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So in order to love yourself, that denotes a level of self-esteem. And that's not talking about the critical self of you, but the good things about you. There are great things about you. And you work that. Oftentimes I see actors on TV with some unusual looks. So there's a young lady who played Precious. She got paid for that look. But at some point she had to love herself enough to put herself out there. There are certain people who are cut out for different parts in movies, what have you. They played into the character of who they are. And they're known for it, and they got paid for that. All of us are unique specimens. None of us look just alike. There's some difference. Even in twins, there's some difference. God has made all those different And our differences, as we say in our school, our differences makes up our uniqueness. So appreciate your differences. Appreciate who you are. And don't let people push you to do things that are outside of God. Now I'm done. This is just a few minutes, but I want to say you tonight, I want to pray for everybody. I want you to know, put your name in the chat, and then I'm going to pray for you that you will begin to tap into who you are. You know, I know that there are people we read about, we study about, and we patternize and we learn things from. That's good to learn from people and to glean from people. That's great because we're people. We all learn from each other. I understand that. But there's a you that's on the inside of you that needs to come out and be manifested. And you have to let that you flow and let that you flow in God. And you have to fall in love with what God has created you to be. Will you be happy all the time? No. But will you have joy all the time? Yes. Because happiness is based on what's happening. Joy is based on everything. Joy is in spite of. So joy is deeper than happiness because your joy is connected to God. Your happiness is connected to the sensual realm and what's taking place. So no, we won't be happy about everything, happy all the time, but we'll have joy knowing that trials that we go through work at patience and it gives us strength and takes us to the next level. That knowing that we suffer with Christ, we'll reign with him. So tonight I just want to encourage you to raise up in your self-esteem and not let people control what God has spoken to you. Fine-tune your ear to God. Listen to God. Don't let your emotions, which is your will, which is wrapped up in your will and your emotions, which is wrapped all up in the soulless realm. Don't let that pull you back. Your soul should magnify the Lord. That means let the Lord be enlarged in your soul. You know, your soul should love it. The old people sing this song, my soul loves Jesus. Allow your soul to love him. And then God will bring you where you need to be. God bless you. I'll be back to talk to you later on. We're looking for a powerful time in the Lord on Sunday if the weather permits. Right there, 3620 Finney Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., 1 hour service. I'm going to be praying for you. I'm actually to put your name in the chat, and then I'll be praying for you. You can also inbox us, and I'll pray for you. And we'll just continue to pray. Now, make sure you visit us on this Sunday if you'd like to sow a seed. Tonight will be a good night. It's giving season. It's a giving season. We should be giving to the Lord. To be given to the Lord, and this is for the work of the Lord, that we may do greater exploits. That's a part of it. Worship and giving is a part of worship. God bless you tonight, and they will put that in the chat for what that is. Bless you.